All right, let's dive right into this explainer and unpack what is basically the foundational text of modern self-development, Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. Look, if you've ever picked up a self-help book, listened to a motivational speaker, or even just set a really concrete career goal for yourself, you've definitely been influenced by the ideas we're going to explore today. Because this isn't just a book, it's an entire philosophy, one that has literally shaped how millions of people approach success, wealth, and personal achievement. You know, this whole concept didn't just appear out of thin air. It was actually born from a massive challenge issued by the legendary industrialist Andrew Carnegie. He tasks a young Napoleon Hill with this absolute monster of a project: spend 25 years researching the habits, the mindsets, and the strategies of over 500 of the most successful millionaires of that era. The ultimate goal? To distill all of their success down into a dependable, repeatable formula that anyone could follow.
So to really start unpacking this mountain of research, we've got to ask ourselves a pretty profound question, and it's one that sits right at the core of Hill's discoveries. What if the secret to building immense wealth, or achieving literally any huge goal you have, was already hiding right there inside your own mind? Like, what if the key to success isn't just about grueling, back-breaking hard work, but fundamentally about the way you think?
Part 1. Thoughts become tangible things.
Hill's main argument here is that thoughts are incredibly powerful forces, especially when you mix them with a real definiteness of purpose. And he presents this philosophy not as some fictional, wishful thinking kind of thing, but as a highly practical textbook on achievement, giving us 13 proven steps to riches. His boldest claim is that intangible impulses of thought can literally be transmuted into physical reality, whether that means financial wealth, a booming business, or even overcoming a personal affliction.
Part 2. The power of a burning desire.
This right here is the absolute starting point of all achievement in the Carnegie formula. Because there is a massive difference between what most people do and what the highly successful do. See, simply wishing for money, that gets you absolutely nowhere. A mere wish is totally passive. It lacks a definite purpose. But a burning desire, that is an all-consuming obsession. It's like the mindset of an ancient warrior who lands on enemy shores and literally orders his men to burn their own ships, leaving absolutely no way to retreat. You either win or you perish. That is the exact level of intensity Hill says you need.
Hill proves this concept so vividly through the story of a guy named Edwin C. Barnes. Barnes had this burning desire to become a business associate of the great Thomas Edison. Now, he didn't want to just work for Edison. He wanted to work with him. So Barnes shows up at Edison's laboratory looking like an absolute tramp. He had no money, zero influence, but he thought like a king. He actually took a menial job sweeping floors just to get his foot in the door, and he stood by that burning desire for years. Eventually, an opportunity presented itself, and he literally became Thomas Edison's business partner. The guy thought his way into a fortune.
Part 3. Never stop 3 feet short. Now, having that kind of intense desire means you are inevitably going to face massive opposition and setbacks. Hill tells this famous story about R.U. Darby's uncle. The guy called gold fever went out west and actually struck gold. But then the vein of ore suddenly disappeared. They kept drilling, found nothing, and finally just quit in total frustration. They sold all their machinery to a junkman. Well, that junkman hired an engineer who calculated that the vein of gold was exactly 3 feet from where the uncle had stopped drilling. The junkman made millions. Hill uses this to show us that failure is essentially a trickster that loves to trip us up right when success is almost within reach. But contrast that defeat with this incredible scene Darby witnessed later on. He saw a small child demand 50 cents from her fierce, towering uncle. The adult yelled at her, even threatened her, but the kid refused to budge an inch. She just stepped forward, looked him dead in the eye, and screamed that she had to have that 50 cents. And you know what? The adult finally broke down and handed it over. Darby realized that this child's unyielding persistence, just flat out refusing to accept no for an answer, was the exact mindset he needed. He applied that lesson to his career selling life insurance and became one of the few people to sell over $1 million annually. And titans of industry apply this exact same unyielding persistence. Take Henry Ford, for example. Ford wanted an 8-cylinder engine cast in a single block. All of his highly educated engineers told him it was scientifically impossible. Ford's response? Produce it anyway. He demanded they stay on the job until they succeeded. They worked for a whole year with zero results, still insisting it couldn't be done. But Ford held firm to his desire, and eventually, the supposed miracle occurred, and the secret to the V8 engine was discovered. Ford succeeded for one simple reason: he completely rejected the word impossible.
Part 4. 6 Steps to Accumulate Riches.
So how do you actually put all of this into practice? Well, it requires incredible specificity. We're not talking about vague hopes here. Step 1, fix the exact amount of money you want. Step 2, determine exactly what you will give in return because, let's face it, there is no something for nothing. Step 3, set a definite date. Step 4, create a plan and act right now, even if you don't feel ready. Step 5, write all of this down in a clear, concise statement. And Step 6, which is arguably the most crucial, read this written statement aloud twice daily. Hill claims that by seeing, feeling, and believing yourself already in possession of the money while you read this, you actually convince your own mind that the wealth is yours.
Part 5. Developing faith through autosuggestion.
Okay, but to make those 6 steps actually work, you need a powerful psychological engine, which Hill calls faith. But understand, faith here isn't just passive hope. It is a state of mind that you deliberately create. And autosuggestion is the mechanism to do it. It's basically the principle of repeatedly feeding positive, emotionalized instructions directly to your subconscious mind. Hill explains that the subconscious mind is like a fertile garden. It's going to grow whatever seeds you plant, whether those are seeds of fear and poverty or seeds of courage and wealth. By repeatedly affirming your goals with genuine emotion, you literally trick your subconscious into producing the emotion of faith.
To really cultivate this mindset, Hill outlines a 5-part self-confidence formula. First, it demands action. You must demand persistent action from yourself. Second, you've got to spend time daily concentrating on a crystal-clear mental picture of the exact person you intend to become. Third, you have to devote 10 minutes every single day to intentionally building your self-confidence. Fourth, you must write down your definite chief aim in life. And finally, you have to build all of this upon a foundation of truth and justice, knowing that a negative attitude toward others is ultimately going to destroy your own success.
Borrowing those famous lines from the poet William Ernest Henley, Hill argues that we are the masters of our fate and the captains of our souls, specifically because we have the absolute power to control our own thoughts. Our brains actually become magnetized with the dominating thoughts we hold in our minds. And through mechanisms we barely even understand, these mental magnets attract the people, the forces, and the circumstances that perfectly align with what we are thinking about the most intensely.
So wrapping up this explainer, I'm going to leave you with this really provocative thought, straight from the heart of Hill's philosophy. If it is true that your subconscious mind builds your physical reality based strictly on your dominating thoughts, what exactly are you choosing to think about right now? If your mind really is a magnet, what is it attracting into your life today? Take a moment to really audit your thoughts, because according to this classic formula, they are the very blueprints of your future.